Let's talk to Bob Mulholland, campaign advisor for the Democratic Party. Bob, very good morning to you.
Hey, good morning.
Very good to see you. Let me just play you a couple of clips here. We've got both JD Vance and, first of all, Tim Waltz on the Iranian problem.
Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, and thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack. But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter.
He's obviously swallowed the Kamala Harris pill there, hasn't he, Bob? He didn't actually answer the question. The question was, would you actively encourage or support an Israeli strike against Iran if you were in the Situation Room? He didn't answer it.
Well, Israel's a sovereign nation. The American government supports Israel in their decision. So I don't think we need to get ahead of Israel and say, oh, they can do a preemptive strike. They obviously, according to Netanyahu, after the missiles came in from Iran yesterday, Netanyahu says Iran made a mistake and there will be a response. And America, whatever Netanyahu or the Israeli government decides, America will support that.
But you see, that's already a better answer than the one he gave. So you mean maybe you should be running for vice president instead of him? Let's have a look at what JD Vance said.
Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Waltz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
So, Bob, not only have you given the right answer, but you also now agree with JD Vance. So not only should you be the vice presidential candidate, but you should be batting for the Republicans.
Well, everybody has to speak for themselves. And I think from the Harris-Biden administration, I think it's a little risky for our side to be advocating a preemptive strike. In the case of Vance, he's not in government other than the Senate. But,
yeah, but he wasn't advocating a strike either. He just said what you said, which is that surely it's up to Israel to decide what's best for Israel.
If I was the vice president candidate working for Harris, who is the vice president, I think I'd be a little more cautious. But I will say this.
Yeah, but being cautious is one thing, Bob. Not answering a question in a debate where you're asked a direct question is not really a very good way to answer one, is it? I watched the debate. Plenty of times Vance didn't answer the question, particularly on the issue of abortion. Well, I'm not, but we're not. But we'll get onto that. But you know, why do we have to be so tribal? Why can't you just admit that in this particular instance, Waltz fudged it? He got it wrong. He should have said what you said.
That's your opinion. I'll leave it.
It's not my opinion. He didn't answer the question. That's a fact.
Well, I watched all 90 minutes plus. A lot of them didn't answer the question. That's clear.
Okay, well, that doesn't make his not answering the question any better, though, does it?
Well, if you look at all 90 minutes, probably was like 20, 30 times people didn't answer the question.
But that's not a really good service then to the American people who want to know what will happen. I mean, we've got the same problem in this country, right, where we've got Keir Starmer running an administration, and we didn't really expect it to be as bad as it is. So I think the people of the United States deserve to know precisely what the people who want to represent them in government would do in a situation if they were asked to do it.
I think he got the answer from both candidates, but Vance ignored the question of Iran. Iran attacked troops in the Mideast, and 90 Americans received, because of those injuries from Iran, received Purple Hearts. They were seriously wounded. I was wounded in Vietnam, so I understand that issue. Even yesterday, Trump was asked this question before the debate, I gather, and he once again dismissed our troops as having headaches. Our troops didn't have headaches. They were transported to Germany. The injuries.
Yeah, but why are we talking about Donald Trump and Germany and Iran? I mean, the point is that we're talking about the debate here. JD Vance also made the point in that answer that he gave that during the time of Donald Trump, Iran did not receive any money because there were sanctions against Iran, which were lifted by the Biden administration. And the reason why they've got now so many weapons is that America has given the Iranians hundreds of millions of dollars, which they've clearly spent on ballistic missiles.
I've never heard, I know the arrangement was made, but I've never heard, and the money is in some Mideast country, but I never heard that. I thought the money was held up until Iran did.
No, it was freed up. The money was freed up by Joe Biden.
The money was freed up to go to a Mideast country. I never heard that it was freed up to go to.
It was freed up to go to Iran. You know that. Come on.
No, I don't know that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have another go at something else that went on during the debate. Here's Tim Waltz talking about gun control.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice.
I mean, I'm not quite sure what point he was trying to make there. I presume he misspoke when he said he was friends with school shooters. I presume he meant he was friends with victims of school shooters.
Everybody knows that. Look, as one who was served in Vietnam, I'm quite familiar with assault rifles. I don't think anybody in America should have assault rifles. Maybe at a gun range, but not on the street.
Well, a lot of people would disagree with you, though, wouldn't they?
So what's the question?
I said a lot of people in America would disagree with you because assault rifles are legal and assault rifles are not banned and people have them.
Yeah, the vast majority of Americans in polling, we're not talking about politics, think assault rifles should not be on the streets of America.
Yeah, but how many assault rifles are on the streets of America, though? Answer me that.
I think millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
So, I mean, the idea that you say people don't want them, well, millions of people want them because millions of people have got them.
Well, we're a country of 330 million. The polling showed, like 90% of Americans want background assaults, backgrounds of anybody buying these weapons. The Republicans say no. I don't know what.
Well, Democrats say no as well. The whole point of that's why polling is such a pointless activity. There's no point in telling me that millions of people don't want assault weapons, but then you tell me in the same breath that millions of people own them, which is probably both, isn't it?
Hundreds of millions of people don't want assault rifles. Now, I've been to Congress.
They've never polled hundreds of millions of people. They've polled a few thousand people.
Well, that, like any polling, that
exactly. That's why it doesn't work. Just look at the sales. Look at how many people own them.
I've been to Congress, and those Republicans have huge signs out congressional buildings. No weapons, no guns, nothing allowed in here. However, because of Republicans, people are roaming the streets with assault rifles outside schools, and we know there's been a lot of school shootings, and that's tragic.
Yeah, it is tragic. But I don't think you can blame Republicans. I think that's just American society. Do you know there are more guns in Canada per head of population than there are in America? But they don't have anything like the number of shootings. Same goes for Switzerland. There's something wrong with America, Bob. That's the problem. And you can't just blame Republicans for it.
As you know, we started out, and I was born in Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence and the boys were meeting. We started out as a violent country. We killed...
Still a violent country.
And we've been that way ever since. Yeah. However, even in the 1930s, Congress banned machine guns. Nobody wants machine guns. Maybe a few people want machine guns. Now, I fired a machine gun, 300 rounds a minute. Yeah. However, there is some people in America that think they should be able to buy a machine gun. God help us.
Well, there are some people in America that want to ride around on a motorcycle without a helmet on. Most of them are not Republicans. Most of them are Democrats because they want freedom.
Some say, hey, the thing this debate, especially given the Israeli Mideast situation, polling showed it was basically, when you asked the question who won, it was 50-50. Yeah. And there was no major blunders. And I think within a day or two, this debate will be long forgotten.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, similarly to the Trump-Harris debate, I mean, nobody really pays that much attention.
I'll add this. Trump's got to be looking at these numbers tonight saying, oh, boy, Vance did well in the debate. I didn't do well, even though he says he did well.
I think Vance is the secret weapon now. I think Vance wins the election for Trump rather than Trump winning it.
I don't think so. This Vance, while Trump was in office, kept emailing his friends saying Trump's a terrible president and he's America's Hitler. So Vance has a lot of explaining to do. We have all that in our TV ads. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but it doesn't make you right, unfortunately. And Kamala Harris is hopeless, and I don't think you could actually ever sell her to anyone who had a brain. But Democrats, obviously, as we know, don't.
Reproductive rights will probably be the linchpin of our campaign victory. Older Republican women will tell pollsters they're going to vote for Trump, but they'll vote for Harris for one reason: they remember life in America prior to Roe v. Wade. And it was not a good situation with
But I also remember what it was like before they had mass immigration, and I think that will kill the Kamala Harris campaign. But you and I will have these conversations until November, and we'll talk on the night as well, and we'll see who got it right.
I do.
Yeah, well, you can't say you got it right already, because that's the future, Bob. And if you've got the lottery numbers for the weekend, let me know. Thank you very much indeed. Bob Mulholland, campaign advisor for the Democratic Party, who thinks Kamala Harris is going to win.